I wanted to say happy International Women's Day. We are really excited for today's session on the stories of women in technology, mentorship, leadership and community with our guest speakers, Donna Kelly, who is the Vice President and Business Unit Leader of the South and Midlands and Head of CGI's Diversity and Inclusion Steering Committee. We also have Janine Hughes-Griffiths, who is their Director of Service, Victoria Holt, a data architect, and Tyree McLeod-Nolan, who is a Product Assurance and Quality Manager. Now, before we begin the session, if you have any questions for any of the speakers, please fire them over via the chat and question box, and one of the speakers will answer them at the end of the session. If you have a question for a particular speaker, please put who you would like to address the question. We're recording this session, and this will be available after the session by email. Now, I'm going to hand over to Donna to kick us off. Thank you, Donna.
Thanks very much, Harriet. And just to repeat, happy International Women's Day. You will be hearing today some stories of our women in technology. And I'm absolutely delighted to be able to introduce three amazing women. So it will be Victoria, Janine, and also Tyree. I'd like to say that today of all days, celebrating success and achievement is so important. And we hope to be able to, throughout this session, be able to inspire and encourage our wonderful women to be confident to achieve. So without further ado, I shall hand over to Victoria.
Hi, my name's Victoria Holt, and I've been working at CGI as a data architect for just over a year. My story started following the completion of a part-time Open University degree in Complexity Systems Management and IT, and a raft of Microsoft technical certifications. I began attending database conferences, and as a database administrator at the time, I saw recurring problems relating to the management of database systems. Many of the database community I spoke to at database conferences seemed to have the same problems. Keen to see what could be done, I embarked on a part-time PhD, a study into best practices and procedures for the management of database systems. This was in 2010. The year after, I entered into a competition, DBA in Space, that Redgate ran, and I got into the last 15. This helped with understanding more about marketing. I also started helping at SQLBits, the largest European Microsoft data platform conference. These are the catalyst for increasing my passion for databases, helping at other community data platform conferences, and sharing knowledge. It has been a privilege to be a part of such an amazing technical community. The global database community helped me with my PhD by participating in my research, and the survey findings were published in 2015. Some years were tougher on maintaining a work-life balance, and 2015 was one of those years. In addition to working full-time, spending 30+ hours a week on my part-time PhD and community involvement, I sat 5 data platform exams to upgrade my Microsoft MCSE database platform certification. A new year began, and I wanted to share my research progress with industry, so created a novel cartoon series with a friend from Microsoft. This was published in Open Minds, a place for new ideas from the Open University. Later in the year, following submission of my PhD, I was privileged to be awarded the Will Swan Award for Innovation and Knowledge Development for my PhD by the AOUG. My community involvement expanded with an exciting opportunity of joining the Data Relay Executive Committee. We run a week's free Microsoft Data Platform Analytics and AI conferences in 5 different venues around the UK. I am also the Bristol event owner, and we train over 1,000 people a year. So last year was both the beginning of an exciting new chapter and closing of another. I started at CGI, I attended my PhD graduation with my family, and that was an amazing day to celebrate achieving a dream. About a month later, I was honoured to receive the Microsoft Data Platform Most Valuable Professional Award. This is an award in recognition of exceptional technical community leadership. MVPs are known for sharing their technical passion and always being on the bleeding edge. I feel humbled to be in the presence of so many other amazing MVPs around the world. Towards the end of the year, I also became an honorary visiting fellow at the Open University. So my time at CGI began when I was referred to CGI by a colleague that I used to work with. It was so nice to work with someone I already knew and have a buddy to help me through those first few months. A few months after I started, I had the privilege to collect an award on behalf of CGI in Berlin, with a couple of other colleagues, when CGI were announced HCC Community Champion at the Hortonworks European Data Summit. My day-to-day role is full of excitement and variation, looking at Cloudera, previously known as Hortonworks, big data architecture, to data quality, to Microsoft SQL Server with Power BI visualizations, to leading our data science team. I keep up to date with the data ecosystem and advanced analytics innovation. I'm also involved with Agile Sprint Planning, a general architecture forum, and a technical working group. It is nice to work for an employer who understands that sometimes things occur that affect your regular working pattern. The trials of commuting unfortunately led to me having a bicycle accident resulting in injury. CGI enabled me to work from home and stagger my return to the office. Then later on in the year, due to family emergency, a member of my family was taken into hospital. Flexible working hours allowed me to start later in the morning. So I'm pleased that CGI supports my continual personal growth through my technical community activities and through career deep dive mentorship, which enables me to continue to share my passion for data and AI and the extraordinary discoveries it can bring for research and industry. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Janine.
From a data perspective.
Thank you, Victoria. Hello, my name is Janine Hughes-Griffiths, and hello and happy International Women's Day to you all. So where I operate currently as a Director of Consulting Delivery on one of CGI's biggest contracts in Europe. I'm responsible for 35 members across CGI, so that means I'm responsible for their growth and career development, as well as the operational delivery of key government services. I also own the client relationship at a senior IT director level for my area of the business. I drive my teams to be proactive and feel, and feel I have changed the culture of my team so that they can care passionately about the services they provide. As well as my day job, I'm also the diversity and inclusion champion for my business unit within CGI. Balance in the workplace is something I care deeply about, and I'm a massive cheerleader for bringing your whole self to work. Having a balanced workplace can enhance productivity, job satisfaction, and happiness by creating a work environment that helps everyone balance their personal and professional lives. I attribute some of my success at CGI to the quality of the mentorship I have received during my time at CGI. Richard Schuhart and David Fulmer, to name two of my colleagues, have been instrumental in helping me succeed and have really given me a platform to be the very best version of myself in the workplace, and I'm eternally grateful for that. Mentors and coaches within the workplace can mean different things to different people and can be a great help in furthering your career. They can come in many different forms, and the process of choosing a mentor is quite a personal one, but it's finding that person that can provide you with an independent sounding board to help us recognize our value and helping us see our own personal progression. It's through my mentors that I gained the confidence to lead on a number of initiatives at CGI. And it was actually one of my mentors that saw the impact I had made in the diversity and inclusion space and nominated me for an Everywoman in Technology award within the team leader category. The awards were on Wednesday of this week, and despite not winning the award, it was an absolute honour and privilege to be nominated and then to go on to reach the finals. The support and positive messages I received throughout the process from my CGI colleagues and even wider have been empowering and have massively impacted my confidence. The award event itself on Wednesday was incredible, and I know Donna joined me there so she can advocate for this, but it was wonderful to hear how girls as young as 11 years old are really making a difference in their schools and communities. Having a mentor has also had a very positive impact on the way I lead my teams. So I really enjoy developing my team, seeing staff grow their careers in CGI, and really like to bring them along on a journey with me and help them in ways that I can. That's not always into leadership roles. So I just try and help them achieve the goals that they'd like to set, however big or small. I'm a mentor for my members, across different areas of CGI, and fully believe in the business and personal benefits of being the very best version of yourself in the workplace. I hope you've enjoyed learning about my journey and a little bit about the mentorship I've received. I will now hand you over to my colleague, Tyree. Thank you.
Many thanks, Janine. What a great presentation. My name is Tyree, and I'm a product assurance and quality manager here at CGI. So I thought I'd start with introducing myself, explaining a little bit about my background, where I've come from, and where I am today. So I'm originally Scottish, but grew up in the Netherlands, and I've always been really passionate about the maths, science, and especially the space industry. So I decided to study maths at Dundee University, and even there I was interested in the space industry and space. So I did my thesis on the magnetic activity in sun-like stars. Also, while at university, I did an internship at ESA, the European Space Industry, in ESTEC in the Netherlands, in their Tech QQM department, which is one of their quality departments. This further fueled my passion for the space industry, and it was also my first insight and exposure to quality assurance. So from there, I went on to do a master's in astronautics and space engineering at Cranfield University. Cranfield is a purely postgraduate university with its main focus around engineering subjects, and it even has its own airfield. So there I studied a range of subjects, and my group thesis focused on space debris and removal, which is a really hot topic currently. It's something that's been building up, and the industry is really looking into this at the moment and designing techniques to remove space debris, but also to mitigate it. My individual thesis at Cranfield was focused on Earth observation. So after university, I got a job at Avanti Communications, which is a satellite communication company in London. This was a 2-year rotational graduate scheme, which was invaluable experience in learning about a range of departments, including satellite procurement, satellite operations, and even pricing and their pricing structure. And ultimately, it gave me the ability to understand how a commercial satellite communication company works. So I joined CGI 3 years ago as product assurance. In my 3 years at CGI, I've had the opportunity to work on quite a few different projects. Each project has their own product assurance and quality needs and processes, which makes life very interesting. So for those of you who aren't so familiar with product assurance or quality assurance, the ultimate goal is to make sure that things go as planned. Whether this is creating a product or delivering a service, it's our responsibility to ensure that we deliver or create the correct product to the correct level of quality. This means on a daily basis, working with the team to establish and implement processes and standards to ensure that the level of quality is met. Additionally, continuously working to identify opportunities to improve quality or increase efficiency. What I find one of the best parts of product assurance is having visibility of all aspects of the system. So one of the projects I have worked on in CGI is EGNOS, which is the European Geostationary Navigation Overlay Service. So this takes the American GPS and augments it to make it suitable and usable for safety of life applications. For example, landing planes in bad weather, fog, or navigating ships in ports. This makes it a hugely interesting program from a product assurance perspective, as the standards are more rigorous than some other aspects of space industry, as you're ultimately looking at the safety of people, and if anything were to go wrong, their lives. The new project I'm working on is commercially sensitive. It's a very large team and a very exciting new project. And starting a new project from scratch is quite interesting from a PA perspective. Setting up all the processes from the beginning, installing quality from the outset is key, as quality is not the type of thing that you can retrofit. So I would now like to talk to you about some of the other things that really matter to me in my career. For me, one of the most important things is to be involved in exciting space projects. I think it's clear to most people that I'm hugely passionate about the space industry, and working for a company like CGI that's involved in a range of space topics really provides that. CGI is not only in satellite navigation, but it's also got a lot of projects in Earth observation and satellite communications. New challenges are also really important to me, getting to move around inside CGI and constantly challenging myself, finding new challenges. This also leads me on to being involved in projects that make a difference and matter. I am the type of person who likes to see the big picture. I think it's important alongside the day job that you feel that you're contributing to something that's really worthwhile and that you can make a difference. The next one is people. I'm generally a people person, and as a product assurance, you get to work with the client as well as the whole team. As a PA engineer, it's important to work out what the client wants or needs, which they're not necessarily the same thing, and what their concerns are, and ultimately being able to communicate that back to the team and ensure that we satisfy or we can mitigate to the best of our abilities. As product assurance, you also get to be involved in all aspects of the project and working closely with the majority of the team to manage risks and issues. And this is one of the things that I've enjoyed most about my time at CGI, is working with people that are like-minded and towards a common goal. On a more personal level, charity is something that's really important to me, and being able to raise money with CGI and colleagues provides a real feel-good factor. Last year, a team of us from the Space Department raised over £3,500 for Macmillan. So for me, it's really important to be part of a company that values charity the same way I do. Lastly, equality and fairness. Ultimately, this is the most important thing to me, that I'm treated equally and that CGI and my colleagues do not treat me differently because of my gender, but instead that they see me as a colleague and they see my other attributes, such as my enthusiasm, my passion for the space industry, my technical understanding, and my ability to work with the team. I think on International Women's Day, it's incredibly important to celebrate all that women have done so far, but it's also important to acknowledge the gap that still needs to close. We need to encourage more women and young girls to get involved in technology and science, and I think CGI does that really well. But additionally, when we have women in roles, any field, any role, what's really important is to be treated equally and fairly, and that's what I really enjoy about being part of CGI.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand back over to Donna to close us up. Donna?
Lovely. Thanks very much, Harriet, and thank you to Victoria, to Janine, and also to Tyree. What I heard some fantastic success, some amazing achievements, and I'm also, delighted to hear that CGI has enabled our members through flexibility and also through inclusion to be able to achieve goals. We heard that technology, the impact that it brings, and certainly the massive amount of achievement of experience and award-winning activities. I loved hearing about the stories of mentoring, and also the stories of sponsorship as well. I have a theory that it's about passing it on. Somebody who sponsored and mentored you, pass that on to a colleague, or a young family member, either inside or obviously outside of CGI. Our speakers are and have delivered absolutely great results. But what's really interesting as well is that they're in sectors of industry where it is, it's quite unusual to see women, and that's something that we obviously need to address from a gender diverse basis, and to increase that. And from hearing from Victoria, Janine, and Tyra, there's absolutely no reason why women can't operate in these areas of industry, in the technology roles that they have as well. I'd like to say that you are all inspirational, and I'm just delighted to be able to be the chair of the diversity inclusion. If we anonymise it for gender, for race, for ethnicity, actually what we're then dealing with is the true skills available of that individual. That we're also looking to encourage our recruitment organisations to provide a fair balance of CVs that come through. So we're asking for 50-50. So if we receive a number of CVs, half of those, please, from our recruiters should be coming through from women, so we get a better and improved gender balance. And then lastly, at the junior end, we're really encouraging at grassroots, the apprentices, the graduates. We're going out to schools and colleges, and again, encouraging females into our industry. It's not about technology and computers, which a lot of girls may well find, a bit of a struggle or a bit boring, but actually it's about what technology can do to the end user, to the consumer, and how it affects people's lives. So we're doing everything that we can in respect of that hiring, but we're really making a push to increase the gender balance. I'll take the next question and hand it out. So how do you feel CGI could teach other companies you've worked with in terms of increasing that gender balance? Janine, do you want to have a go at taking that from your perspective, how you felt or seen other companies doing similar activities?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot that CGI can still do, but I think there's a lot that all companies can do. In comparison to my previous employer, though, we're leaps and bounds ahead, and I felt more empowered at CGI than I have anywhere else that I've worked. And I think there's a real positive difference here. In not on International Women's Day, it's not just the women celebrating. This morning there were men in the room, and they asked the relevant questions, and they're supporting our right to bring our whole selves to work, and I love that. I haven't had that before with an employer, so it's made a huge difference to me, and in terms of confidence, but also just the culture in general. So Donna, you've talked a little bit about the balance for better and what we do around that, and some of the work I do as part of my role as diversity and inclusion champion, it can, however big or small, it's just about recognizing your impact on others, the unconscious bias, be mindful of that. And it's something that it wasn't a new concept. It wasn't invented when we all joined CGI. It existed. It's just, I think CGI are better at talking about it and bringing that out. Certainly.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for that. To question to Victoria, what are your top tips for being a female in the data science industry?
Well, I've kind of, I suppose, spent a lot of time with the community and talking to people. And I don't think it really matters whether you're male or female. I think the biggest thing is you have to really enjoy working with your data and finding out interesting things within the data and seeing what can actually be done with the data. And I think it's always been, for me, it's always been about a real passion for the field and seeing what can be done with the technology to help bring sort of insights into businesses. And I think it's really important that kind of excitement comes out within your job. And then I think if you've got that kind of excitement going on there, then I don't think it really matters what your gender is. But I think it's really, really important to really enjoy what you do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if you're happy, then you're going to bring your best self to work. And I think that also applies to things that you do outside of work as well. So, you know, look after yourselves and make sure you're doing things that make you happy. I've got a question for Tyree, which is, what advice would you give to young girls looking to apply for maths or engineering degrees?
Really, my advice would just be to do it. If you're nervous, if you're worried about getting involved in technology and things like that, just go ahead and do it. The world is so big and there's so many options out there, and I don't think anyone will regret it. I mean, life's long, so you can give things a go, and if you don't enjoy it, you can always change later on. Especially at university, people try out different subjects. Even if you're doing one degree, you can take optional subjects for others, which I think is a brilliant way to try different subjects that you wouldn't feel confident doing a full degree in. And really, I just think speaking up for what you believe in and what you are interested in, no matter your gender, it really shouldn't make a difference. But I know that to a lot of people, it's something that they're worried about. But once you get here as well, and you've done all your studying and you're working hard, people respect you for it. So I really think if you're thinking about doing it, feel free to speak to people about it. You know, maybe speak to your teachers or a mentor or something, get some advice, but I would definitely not shy away from it.
That's great. Thank you very much, Tyree. Another question here to Janine. How important is it to nominate colleagues for industry awards, and how did it make you feel being nominated?
That's a good question. Thank you. So as I touched on briefly, the importance of nominating even yourself and colleagues for awards, it has a massive impact. And for me personally, I felt like I'd won the award from the point of nomination. I had no idea that I'd been nominated. So to receive a phone call that I was being recognised for the work that I care so deeply about in the diversity and inclusion space was a massive compliment boost, and was just overwhelming, really. And then to reach the finals was wonderful. But even it doesn't have to be large scale awards. It could be as simple as just recognizing your colleagues or friends or family or whoever in small ways. So in CGI, we're great at that, I feel. So we've got internal systems that help you say, you know, kudos or thank you for some help on that project. So the importance that you place on industry awards, I think that's huge, and it definitely had a massive impact on my confidence and just the love that I feel from my colleagues and my loyalty to the company. But also don't underestimate the value of, you know, the smallest scale and just saying thank you and building people up to say you're doing a great job, keep doing what you're doing, because that's essentially the underlying theme for me. It was just that recognition, really. But good question.
I completely agree. Just say thanks. Say it more. Say it more often. We do have tools. We have Applaud within CGI. We also have a recognition tool that you can use to recognise your peers, your colleagues. They're there to be used, and that there isn't just the one word thank you, just the email that says that was great, well done, thank you. It doesn't matter who you are, what level of the company you're at, it genuinely is just like that pat on the back that kind of makes it feel all worthwhile. So yeah, Janine, I completely agree with you. That was well answered. So I'll ask the question to Victoria. So actually, I'm going to ask it to all three of our speakers. So be prepared. Unfortunately, Victoria, you're going to have to go first.
Right.
So Victoria, what was the best piece of advice that you've had in your career?
Well, just to never give up and always keep trying. And you just have to have courage and keep going. Even when you're thinking things are really bad and you can't possibly go on or you can't achieve something, you just need to take a step back and have courage and never give up.
That's great. Same question to Tyree. I feel like I'm on blind date now.
Love it.
Tyree.
Yeah. So sorry, it was the best piece of advice I've
best piece of advice, that you've had in your career.
Is really, it goes back to this sort of subconscious bias, or unconscious bias, subconscious bias, that to work harder. I think a natural subconscious bias is that women maybe don't understand as much in technology or engineering or science and all the rest of it. And as a woman, you have to sort of accept that there is that natural slight bias, and just to prove everyone wrong. Don't take it personally. Do your best, study hard, work hard, and then, of course, be nice and all the usual, but then people will respect you for it.
Thank you for that. And then to Janine, how would you answer the same question? Best piece of advice you've had?
I really do feel like we are on blind date now, Donna. It's brilliant.
I know. I'm gonna choose my date in a minute. Keep going.
Right, so my best advice, to go back to a couple of recurring themes, is to bring your whole self to any situation that you're in. I'm a massive believer in that. And I have had moments in my career where I've thought, oh, I need to change to fit in. And actually, no, I'm just going to be myself and see where that gets me. And I've actually had more success with the latter than if I was just trying to be something that I'm not. As we said, there's a long way to go in some ways with balance, but we're definitely making the right inroads to it. I don't mean in CGI, I mean in general, across the technology industry. And bringing your whole self to work, it would be the greatest advice I received, and it's the advice that I give my members.
Oh, no, that's great to hear. And earlier on during the events that were being held locally, I was asked a kind of similar question, and my response was pretty much the same as yours, which sort of went along the lines of just be yourself. Don't try to pretend to be anybody that you're not. Don't try and compete, in a certain environment or a certain world because you think that's how you fit in better. Actually being different is great. That's what's needed. It's what's wanted. So my answer to that was, be unique, be yourself. Although I'm just going to add that very recently, I've had a piece of advice. It was just over a year ago, where I was standing in as a BU leader, whilst one of my colleagues was out of the office off sick, and I was very nervous about doing it at the time, and I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? One piece of kind of philosophy that I've always lived life by is just say yes. Just keep saying yes, and what's the worst that can happen is the kind of mantra I live by. But so I did it, and at the time Tara was a BU leader, and I went up to Tara and I said to Tara, oh my days, Tara, you have so many decisions that you have to make throughout the day, every day. How on earth do you kind of get to the point where you're able to make lots of decisions very quickly, because there isn't the safety net that I'd had previously. And Tara said, the only piece of advice I can give you is the worst thing to do is not make a decision. Even if it's wrong, you'll learn from it, and we'll help and we'll group round and we'll make sure that it's not, nothing catastrophic. You are protected, obviously, from a BMS perspective, but just make decisions, make the decisions, and learn from them. And that was a brilliant piece of advice that Tara gave me recently. Okay, so there's a question that's just come in, and by the way, to the audience, keep the questions coming. But there's a new question that's just come in, which is, what advice would any of you give to a 45+ woman wanting to return to work in technology, who have kept abreast with their field of interest, but there's a gap in their CV, or that they're working as teachers perhaps in between, but want to return back to industry? If it's okay, I'm gonna answer that question, because we are, as part of Dream Connectors, Our programme this year is exactly about this topic, which is about returning to work. It's not age specific to, you know, plus 45. It's genuinely just return to work. So a lot of women do take career gaps. I'm not saying a lot of women, but with some, you know, women do take career gaps. And what typically happens is that because there is a gap of knowledge, actually it's more about a gap of confidence that happens. And so our Dream Connectors programme this year is about helping women to return to work. And actually we're seeing it as a great way to bringing new great talent into CGI. So I'm going to call it a boot camp, but I'm sure I'll probably get told off by Julia, who's owning the programme, Julia Dickinson, that is. But we're going to run a boot camp where we're going to be inviting and welcoming women to come along to share their experiences with us, talk about their concerns, and we'll be working on a development programme to help coaching to enable women to return to the workplace in a safe environment where we completely understand the concerns they may have. And the other good thing about really doing this is that we're able to bring women back into CGI or back into the workplace. It might not be at exactly the same level as they left, but they probably don't want that anyway. So it will be bringing them back into a career level that they feel comfortable with, but then having the opportunity and the ability to be able to fast track them through the organisation back to a level that they were at, and hopefully help them to improve and increase beyond the level that they left. So keep your eye out, keep your eyes open for the Dream Connectors activity, because it is real and it's happening. So thank you for asking that question. Just looking to see if there's any new questions coming through. Oh, okay, I think we've done that one. So that was about hiring, wasn't it? What's the best way, new question. So what is the best way to apply, and how do you support new mums looking to either re-enter careers in IT or mums that are returning after maternity leave? I'm happy to take this one. So we, as part of our D&I committee, we have a community of return to work mums post-maternity. It's not just mums, actually, it's post-paternity leave as well. So shared leave, so open to men and women. And one of the challenges that they have, firstly, again, it's about the confidence. So, you know, I've been off work for 9 months and now I've got to come back. And when they have come back, they found that their user ID is expired and they can't log on to the system. They find that then their manager has changed and they're not sure who they're working for now. And then they've started back in CGI and they've been told, right, okay, you've got to find yourself an assignment. And they don't even know who's who anymore because things have changed so much. So what we're doing is we've started a programme, and it's been led by and sponsored by Gemma Stacey and Joanne Carey. Now, both of these ladies brought to the committee a set of activities that they wanted to do for this community. And it's been approved and the budget has been assigned that anyone returning to work will be given a mentoring. They'll be given coaching to build their confidence up about returning to work. And then there'll be a phased induction for that individual to return to the workplace. That we will be looking at increasing holiday days to be able to support return to work post paternity or maternity leave, the ability to have some additional days that helps them to be able to support them returning. So if you have a child that's sick, rather than our members currently, you know, really struggling to be able to accommodate that, or using their annual leave to be able to accommodate that, we're looking at increasing the holiday days. But you'll very, very soon be hearing some communications about that, so I won't steal anybody's thunder. But Gemma Stacey and Jo and Kerry are the 2 ladies that have run that, and that's just, you know, congratulations to both of them. And I'm sure lots of people will benefit off of the back of the activity that they've been promoting. Okay, if you want to find out more about where to find out about Dream Connector, Synergy is the best place to look for this. There will be lots of comms going out shortly, so whilst you can go on to Synergy and have a look, you can contact Julia Dickinson, who's leading the Dream Connector programme, or alternatively, if you just keep your eye on your emails, as and when we need support, we'll be able to support you through that. Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, so I have got a question that I'm going to ask my dating panel once again. So I'm going to do the Scylla, Laura questions. So my first question I mentioned earlier that my quote, you know, my favourite quote and how I live my life is, number one is I try to say yes to as many things as I can on the basis that, you know what, it opens new doors and new opportunities. But the way that I really live my life is what's the worst that can happen, right? So, you know what, do it, be bold, be brave, what's the worst that can happen, and be confident, and it genuinely does work. So what's the worst that can happen is mine. So to Victoria, what would be your favourite quote that you live your life by?
I suppose I have a real passion for helping the community. So for things that I found a long time, it's taken me a long time to actually like discover the answers and things like that, I like to share that on with other people, because then it helps them progress. And I just find that that's my main sort of focus really, and it pays dividends, because people like somebody that helps, but then they help you back in return, and you get this sort of whole sort of family. In the data world, at our conferences, we have like a Twitter hashtag, and it's called SQL Family, and it is like that in our sort of industry, and I think that's my main sort of focus really.
Okay, that's great. And Janine, what would you say yours was, how you live your life?
I live my life. I'm sort of similar to you, really, Donna. So I think just be brave, just do it, be as decisive as you can to get your message across, but don't feel like you have to go along with the general consensus. So throughout my career and throughout my life, I'm one of 5 girls, so it's always been a noisy household, but throughout my life I've always been a believer in challenging the status quo. And that would be how I live my life, not just to be disruptive, but just to make sure that we're thinking of all angles and arriving at where we want to be, rather than just going with perhaps the easiest option.
That's great, thank you. And to the same again to Tyree.
So actually one of the quotes that's really stuck in my head all the way from primary school, which was a while ago now, is really to treat others as you would like to be treated. And this sort of thing, it sort of sticks with me that when someone's having a bad day and they take it out on the nearest person, it's just not fair, you know. And if it was the other way around, you wouldn't want that to happen. And I think it's really relevant in the workplace as well, that you should be kind to others, respectful to others, no matter what their gender or what their status is, whether they're, you know, the most senior person in the company or the new grad who's just joined, that they should be treated with respect. And then on a more personal level, just you only live once. So like yours as well, just say yes, just do things, you know, don't think too much as well. It's probably one of my own as well. So there we go.
Yeah, I think you can end up overthinking and losing confidence as a result of it. So maybe not massively impulsive, but try and be as impulsive as you can, I guess. I've got a question that's come in, which is, and I'll go to Janine for this one, on the basis of the mentorship. But how do you challenge yourself to ensure that you are behaving in a gender diverse way?
How do I challenge myself? I guess that comes back to unconscious bias, and a lot of what we've said about treat as you would want to be treated. I think that's what the question is. But yeah, just challenge your biases. And there's a really, really effective exercise you can do to see whether, well, we've all got them, unconscious bias, but just to see whether you've got perhaps a stronger unconscious bias than you realize. And that's where, just think about your top teams, if you're going to put a team together, and then cross out any attributes perhaps, or things that would not necessarily be that would mirror yours, and then see what your team looks like at the end. But that's how I would give advice to somebody setting up a team. So that's how I challenge. And I think that's what the question is, but there's probably a couple of different ways I can answer this.
No, I think that's a great way to do it, and as well, you know, like you say, it's about recognising your own unconscious bias, isn't it? I just recently realised that mine is, and you know, true confession time, but mine is called a benevolent bias, and what that means is it's about being kind, but that's me guessing that I'm being kind. So if I see an opportunity for an assignment to go and work in New York for 3 months, I look around the team and I think, well, it can't be her because she's just back from maternity leave and she's got 2 small children. I'm making that choice through my own thinking, kindness, but actually, you know, and you know, and I'm addressing that. So it's not certainly not my decision to make that on behalf of anybody, no matter what their situation is. But unconscious bias training, I would highly recommend, so that you can identify what yours is and just be, you know, aware of it and just deal with it. So I think we're all out of questions now. I'm going to hand back to Harriet, if that's okay, Harriet.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Donna. And it goes without saying, thank you so much to all the panelists. Just to close, there's quite a few questions about the Dream Connector. If anyone sort of externally from CGI has any interest on this, please just follow them on their social channels, which is #ExperienceCGI. I'm also going to be sending out an email later this evening that will have direct links to any of the career opportunities. It will also have the recording on, so please feel free to share with your friends and colleagues, and then also have all the panelists' LinkedIn profiles. So please connect, please continue the conversation. Happy International Women's Day, and thank you so, so, so much. Goodbye.